Morning, everybody. Happy first day of the school holidays. And welcome to the News Agenda with me, Fleet Street Fox. And today I'm joined by the Mirror's Lucy Thornton. Now, it's her first time, everyone, so be gentle, but she's easily one of the best and the toughest news reporters I know, so I'm sure she'll get the hang of it fairly quickly. Morning, Lucy. Can you hear us, Lucy? Morning. I think she's still writing her notes. Don't worry. Now, this is the People's Paper Review. So get into the comments, ask us your questions. We'll do our best to answer them for you when Lucy hopefully has her sound up and knows what's going on. We were just chatting backstage, so she appeared to know exactly where we were, but apparently not. Now, those of you listening later on podcast will just have to ask yourselves if Donald Trump is now the most cognitively impaired man in the race for US president and what happens as a result. So what have we got for you today? Well, the Mirror has splashed on a fresh abuse scandal at a children's school in Cumbria, the second such allegations about homes that have been run by the same firm. Now, there's more on that in the paper if you want it. It's obviously a legal minefield, so we're not going to discuss it here today. But first, it's the only story in the entire world, probably the universe, which is the topic of every podcast as well, I expect, which is the decision at 7:15 UK time last night for the US.
Woman, Dad's watching it. Your camera came up.
Yeah.
You were writing notes, I think.
Okay. All right. Thanks, mate.
I think we can hear Lucy in the background having some discussions about how this isn't working very well technologically.
I am so sorry, guys. So sorry.
Well, there she is. It's beautiful. Maybe we'll get to see you at some point as well. There we are. There we are. Can you hear us, Lucy?
I am so sorry, Han. I'm so sorry. It was my stepdaughter came running up going, they've started it. I have a brand new laptop, so it's really, I'm really struggling.
It's okay. I'm really used to winging it when the other person on this, just the internet goes down or something. I just blether for 20 minutes, so it's fine.
Bless you.
Now, just saying, this is Lucy, everybody. Hello, Lucy.
Hi.
Now, there was more on that in the abuse scandal in the paper if you want to read it. But first, any story in the world, Joe Biden, 7:15 last night UK time, decided he was going to step down from the race for re-election as US president, leaving the way clear for someone who can beat, hopefully, a re-energized, assassination-surviving Donald Trump. Now, Lucy, I suppose, first of all, this was kind of inevitable, wasn't it? And has been inevitable for some time. Do you have any idea, just, I suppose, as a good critic of these things, with a perspective and everything that a news reporter has, why do you think it took him so long to see what everyone else has kind of known for ages?
Well, he's so stubborn, though, isn't he? It's taken half a century for him to get to the top, so he's not going to go easy. He spent so long trying to get there. I mean, I'm a bit more sympathetic than you about him, I think, to be honest, because we had this debate earlier on, didn't we, about the fact that it was, what was it, JFK, you said, only had, how long did he have, Susie?
Yeah, so when JFK became president, it was that he didn't get the nomination. It was a very tight race. No one got the clear nomination in the run-up to this when they were having the nominee debates. And it was him and Lyndon B. Johnson at the Democratic Convention in August 1962 before the election that November. So they have managed to sort of make it very, very tight before. There are processes in place kind of to do it that quickly. It's just I think we're very used at the moment, and America's very used to having this nominee process where you have a nominee for like a year or 2 years, and you have a long time to talk about these people.
Yeah.
But it can be done. Now, Preston says the fake president quits, has been useless from day one. There is that attitude, and it's very difficult on this side of the pond sometimes to know when someone's talking rubbish when they're talking sense about things that are happening in the States. And the fact is that although Biden's popularity ratings are very low, economically, and some of his achievements have not been too bad, really, compared to some of the other leaders in the world dealing with exactly the same problems. So
it's quite exciting, though, I think, to have Kamala Harris as potentially our first female Black American president. That would be absolutely phenomenal. And there is hope. I'm hoping, they said all the women of America go out and vote, frankly, because we need that. She's I was watching her interviewed about. She gets a lot of abuse, and the rhetoric against her is horrendous. I mean, her polls are quite low, Susie, aren't they? I think, and she
Yeah.
polled low compared to even Biden. Frankly, wasn't he split even with Trump? And she was it 5 points down? I think.
Yeah. I think there's polls that show Kamala is a couple of points behind Trump, particularly in the swing states, but there's also polls that are showing her neck and neck. So it's there to be won, perhaps, to some extent. We had a couple of comments there which got taken down very, very quickly. If we can just have those back up again. I think Steve was saying the United States never had a female president. Is it ready for a black woman in the White House, or is it still 1861 over there? They haven't evolved very much, sometimes, it seems, from the founding fathers and their attitudes. Kevin says Trump is also too old. He is now. He's the oldest man in the race.
That's right.
And Scotty as well.
So, because Kamala's 60, isn't she? She's 60. Is it 16 days before or after the election?
I don't know. I've got no idea when her birthday is. Why are you asking me?
I've got a note here somewhere. I think it's 16 days, just 16 days before the election, she turned 60.
Oh, right. So she's pretty young, and she's got it all to fight for, perhaps. And she is the main person winning the endorsements that have come out so far. That's only day one. So interestingly, she's got the backing of some of those who were in contention last time, like Pete Buttigieg and a few others. Now, there are some polls, like I say, who have her sort of neck and neck with Trump, and there's a lot is going to depend on who she picks as her VP. You know, if whatever is her most unpopular aspect, she can find someone who sort of plugs that gap, then the pair of them may well be able to present a kind of team.
Have the Obamas Have the Obamas said anything yet? Because they didn't, did they?
Well, Obama, having put the final nail in Joe's coffin, came out overnight and said that he's sure that the Democratic Party will find the right nominee. And
they haven't mentioned Kamala, have they? They haven't said.
They've kind of left it open to everyone. He's intervened to get rid of someone and is just leaving it aside for everyone else. Now, Steve says the Democrats can't afford to fight over their candidate now. They need to decide quickly. Another Trump presidency would be a disaster for the whole world. As we're saying, though, with JFK and Lyndon Johnson, Steve, there is sometimes a benefit, perhaps, to having a last-minute fight because, you know, you don't get to know them so well, perhaps, and whoever wins. And there's not so much to judge on. And some of the stuff that you may actually find less popular, you don't get to find out about until it's too late and they're in the White House. Now, it's got to say, it will be lovely to see someone like Kamala Harris, who prosecuted loads of sex crimes as Californian Attorney General, taking on a court-approved, court-declared rapist, probably on TV debates where we can all watch it. But can she defeat, Lucy, that sort of central message of Trumpism, that the elites are out to get you? Because there are many, many people in Middle America. She's a Californian. It's the Middle America, the Rust Belt and stuff where Trump has his base, to whom she is the elite. She's an attorney general. She's a trained lawyer. She's very wealthy. She's married a wealthy man. She doesn't have children. All this kind of stuff will just sort of play into their fears a bit, won't it?
I don't know. I don't think it's can you find anybody beating the Trump base? I mean, it's frankly frightening. But there are other people to go for, aren't there? So it's black voters, female voters. There are all these people that are just feeling totally cut off. I mean, it's all to play for, I think. I'm quite hopeful now. We talked about the lack of time JFK had, to be honest. But she's this woman. I mean, as you look at her background, I mean, who's the elite here? I mean, Trump was given his empire by his dad. I mean, if you look at Kamala's dad, what was he? He was an economist at Stanford University. Her mum was trying to fight breast cancer. I mean, she's got a great background, and that's a great family. She said she comes from a family with big laughs because Trump goes after her, like the way they attack her with her. I mean, he calls her nuts. He calls her crazy. That's horrible rhetoric. It'll be, I think they have to be very careful. I think they'll be quite scared of her because I think they'll have to be quite careful how they take her on. Because
they're going to have to recalibrate, aren't they?
Yeah, they treat her like she's stupid. This woman is brighter than he'll ever be, It's, I mean, she was the first Attorney General. What year was that? She was when she became the first Attorney General was it 2011? Was it Attorney General for California?
First female Attorney General, first
African American, first Asian American Attorney General in California, I think it was. So, we're not talking about a stupid woman here.
Yeah,
so,
she's got some first behind her, isn't she? That she possibly. Now, Steve says donors who weren't prepared to back Biden seem to have swung behind Harris. It's all hanging on George Clooney, of course. Who's he going to go for? Maybe he's going to come forward. I'm sure the Daily Mail at some point will be announcing that Meghan Markle's considering it, because they seem to have been saying that for quite a while. But you were saying earlier on, Lucy, that some of the reporting about this, you found that they talk about her being a divisive character, don't they?
Yeah, that's horrifying. In the British press as well, not ours, of course. But I mean, what's that? Is that code for not a white, an old white man? Is that what divisive is these days? It's crazy. I can't see anything divisive about this woman. She seems to want. One of her interviews, she says, "I want fairness and integrity." I'd like to see a bit of that as well, to be honest. But asking something else, Susie, what about Michelle Obama? I mean, how about her being, she's got really good poll ratings. That's the other thing. If they're being quiet about it, is there any hope that she could put herself forward?
Well, would you want to do a job that your husband had done apparently quite well in the same house and being rated against him every single day?
Yeah, because they were both awesome. Why not?
Maybe, but I mean, then it's a case of who's the most awesome, and all the pictures and all the escorts would be ex-President Obama stood behind her while she's shaking the hand of someone. It would just be weird.
I don't know. I disagree. I think she'd be awesome. But then saying that, I think one of the comments earlier was correct, that the trouble is they've got to make their mind up, and they've got to make their mind up now. So Pamela, if they back Pamela, they've got to go for it. I mean, they've got a month, haven't they, to the national convention when they announce it. So, there's other people who could just throw their hat in the ring there. I don't know who that could be.
Maybe there are other people. There's various senators and governors. We don't really know much about any of them. So I'm sure they'll become apparent. And there may be someone who just gives a speech at the convention who suddenly sets the whole thing alight, and everyone goes, "Oh, we're going to vote for him."
Going back to the rhetoric, Susie, I mean, I hate to compare it, but I noticed it a lot I covered the aftermath of the riots in Hare Hills last week. And frankly, my family and I were watching TikTok the night it actually escalated. And the rhetoric there, the far right conversation that I'm seeing the same with America now, it's just that anger online is frightening.
We've also got that comment from Don. Can we just have that back so I can read it, because it was up here about 2 seconds before I saw it. Don says, Trump is a criminal proven in court. He should never be allowed to stand. Why do American presidents have to be nearer to a nursing home than the White House? Don't know. But when they had Hillary Clinton was running, she was a woman and she's had pneumonia at one point, and she was a little bit staggery, and that was enough to kill her off entirely in the presidential race. Women get judged differently in this sort of puritanical evangelical society they do have over there. Gilead wasn't that much of an imaginary thing. So on the one hand, you've got we've got this Trumpism, which I want to talk about because it really plays into what you saw in Hare Hills the other week, Lucy. So I've got behind a lot of things in this country too. It's the idea that politicians have used people who aren't doing so well as weapons in electoral battles, really. On the one hand, you've got people saying, you need to worry about the people who live in areas of deprivation. They're probably a different colour. They might be a different faith. They probably earn less. They thieve more. They aspire less. And it appeals to some extent to wealthier, middle class, more likely to vote voters who want to sort of keep hold of more of the stuff they've worked to gain. And on the other hand, you have the likes of Trump, Nigel Farage in this country, Marine Le Pen in France, saying to those people in areas of deprivation, you need to fear the other guys, the elites, the people you don't see, who are conspiring to keep you in this hellhole where you are surrounded by people who are from somewhere else in some regard. Now, no one suggests lifting these people out of areas of deprivation. No one seems to say, hey, let's make all this better. It's just a weapon to hit the other guy with, using deprivation as a tool politically. And we saw this last week with the riots in Hare Hills in Leeds, after which Nigel Farage sent a tweet blaming, I think it was, pretty much anyone from India for this rampage. He said, the politics of the subcontinent are currently playing out on the streets of Leeds. Don't say I didn't warn you. And the subcontinent usually refers to India. He has never warned about India under any circumstances. And that wasn't what happened either, was it, Lucy?
No, it was a complicated situation, but I'll explain. It started because of a child protection issue. involving a Romanian Roma family. Now, then the family insists, and they tried to calm it, to be fair, because this incident here came about later and was fueled, and I watched it unfold, with the right-wing statements being made online, and more people came out. And then we had TikTok live shots coming, and it was, so basically the local councillor told me that it was bringing more people in from out of the area. So this wasn't anything to do with the original spark, if you like. It was people of all races, all ages. And yeah, I have to have a shout out here to the brave councillor I spoke to. It was Councillor Ali. He really impressed me this weekend. He ended up being, this is Councillor Mohsin Ali, who's been given so much stick online by far right extremists. He actually was confronted in the street and accused of causing it himself. But he was a human shield between him and the police. Him and others stood in front of them because they didn't have helmets on and riot shields. I think they were caught a little bit unawares. And he stood in front of everyone. So you get comments like Farage fueling the TikTokers to come out, and it was an absolute mess, to be honest. And I've then since watched it happen. People pretending it's kicking off again, and that's another issue about people trying to get follows on TikTok just by saying, oh, it's going to start again, and it wasn't. It was, the council fought very hard, and the police, to be fair, to calm it down.
Yeah, and Hare Hills had riots, I think, a year or two ago as well. You do tend to see riots when they happen in hot summer weather, as we've had here, when it's fueled by lots of things. And this is just, in an area like Hare Hills, which is an area of sun deprivation, it doesn't take much to ignite that spark, to say, well, look, you don't like the authorities, they're not helping you out. It's time to go and burn a bus down, or whatever it is that you want to do. So we've got this kind of Trumpism, this attitude that still needs defeating at home and abroad. It matters in this country what happens in other countries, which is why Nigel ran over there lickety-split when his mate got shot, although, interestingly, he didn't get a photograph or shake his hand or anything, so it was a completely embarrassing waste of effort on his part. Today, you've got Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister, is announcing some new skills and training, which presumably is the long-term, the make the world better, fairer place, the long-term thing that can fix some of the problems of places like Hare Hills. It's not really going to cut through with all the attention we've got, I think, for the American presidential race. Now, I'm afraid we've got to cut it off here now, because it's the first day of the school holidays and I've got to take a small person to summer school in 11 minutes. So thank you, Lucy, for joining us. Thank you, everyone, taking part. If you're listening on podcast, please leave us a review, and we help other people to find us. And we will see you all again on Wednesday for a proper, normal, full-length version of the news agenda. Until then, everybody, stay safe, take care. Tatty bye.
Bye.